It's Erica here. I'm going to present to you your plan today for the next month or so. So I'm going to go through your goals and the stuff that I see to work on, and then I'm going to go through the supplements I'm recommending and the lifestyle suggestions. So what you said is that you feel tired a lot of the time, and you also have heavier periods and cramping since born. So you want to feel better overall, as well as lose about 10 pounds that have come back since you stopped nursing him earlier this year. So the stuff that I see to work on is this weight piece. You said you're currently 138 and your goal is to be 130. Now, most of your adult life has been spent in the 128 to 132 range, so this sounds perfect. I wrote the wrong word there. You had said you didn't like how your clothes are fitting and how this weight might be affecting your health, and that you want to address it now versus when it's when it's only 10 pounds now versus waiting and letting it get too far. So I think that's perfect. For you, you're noticing weight in the stomach, the hips, and the love handle areas, which are signs of basically your cortisol, your insulin, and an estrogen dominance picture with your hormones. This shows up in how you talk about your periods and your energy as well. You said that right now you're eating fairly clean and doing this P90X style program every day, so that's awesome. So you've got those pieces in, it's just we've got to tap into some other stuff. In terms of hormones, you said you wanted to get your hormones back on track and that you stopped nursing this past summer. You've noticed more bloating and cramping with your periods than before, and that your periods end on a brown colored flow. So this is all sign of low progesterone and estrogen dominance, which was something that we were already picking up on when I was working with you in practice. If anything, I would say it's probably gotten a little bit more intense since you stopped nursing because those hormones are switching back around. Also, I just made a note here that long term, maybe we can look into considering breast cancer risk reduction because you said there was someone in your family that had breast cancer. Now, as long as we focus on getting your estrogen and progesterone back into an appropriate balance with each other and make sure estrogen isn't overall too high, that's going to reduce your risk of any kind of estrogen-related cancer. So that's awesome. So essentially the work we're doing with hormones anyway is already going to contribute to lowering your risk, which is great. Now, you said energy-wise, you're feeling tired a lot of the time, so that's a big one to me. And then sinuses. You said you've had these sinus issues ever since you got a cold a year and a half ago. Your sense of smell has never been the same. You tried that cortisone nasal spray that your doctor prescribed and it didn't help. And there's no visible blockage on the x-ray. And you're noticing that you're snoring now. So it could be affecting your quality of sleep and your brain's not as oxygenated while you sleep, so you might be waking up more. So poor quality sleep. I just made a note there that you have a dairy sensitivity and you're off of dairy. Okay, so the supplements that I'm recommending here, in terms of what you're already on with prenatal SAP, vitamin C, essential fatty acids, and glucosamine, I just said, for amount and duration, just keep doing what you're already doing. Notes, I said you can continue to take all of these right now. If, however, you're feeling overwhelmed with the new ones that we're going to add on temporarily, I would suggest to pause, some or even all of these. Maybe start with pausing the glucosamine or EFA or vitamin C if possible. I just say that because we only have so much mental bandwidth to handle taking supplements. Although you can make it pretty foolproof if you lay it out in a weekly supplement holder. I know it's like a little bit geriatric, but you can actually go to Shoppers and get those like big ones for the whole week. And then I just prep my supplements for the entire week so I don't have to think about it and I just take them with each meal. So that might help. I'm going to be recommending a few things here. So I don't want to overwhelm you, but at the same time, it's like I want to nip this sinus thing in the bud and I want to get you back to a more workable place with your hormones. So the first one I'm writing is Chaste Tree by MediHerb. I think it's labeled Chaste Tree on the bottle. Ideally 2 caps twice a day, though the second option would be 2 caps once a day. So I give you that second option in case you just don't have the mental bandwidth to remember to take it again in the day, or for financial reasons you want to make the bottle last longer. Best world, ideal scenario would be take 2 caps twice a day. Will get you the results faster, and then you can get off of the supplement faster. We'll do this for 1 to 2 months and then reassess. Though, realistically speaking, we'll probably have you on some version of Chaste for about 6 months. It might look different, though. I might put it in a tincture for you. So for now, this particular one I would look at doing for 1 to 2 months. This is going to significantly help your female hormones rebalance, especially that estrogen and progesterone, and it's going to help with your PMS symptoms. So it's going to help with cramping, the bloating on periods, which is a sign of estrogen dominance. You should see that brown color flow start to go away or get less, those sorts of things. The next one I listed is NAC-SAP by NFH. This is N-acetylcysteine. So it's like a natural amino acid you would get in sulfurous foods and vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage and eggs. This one is 2 caps twice a day for 2 months and then reassess. So this is great for female hormones. It is like one of the most potent antioxidants to the body. It also helps detoxify hormones in the liver. So the liver is supposed to break things down, the hormones down as they pass through. But if it's overwhelmed, it can't do that job properly. And the fact that you say you have these PMS symptoms is also a sign that your liver is a little bit bogged down. So the NAC is going to help replenish the liver. It's also, side note, considered a mucolytic, so it breaks down any congestion in case that's the issue with your sinuses. I really don't know what's fully going on because it's not showing up on an x-ray, which doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing there. It just means there's nothing that's opaque enough or thick enough for the x-ray to concentrate. So you could still have inflammation, you could still have, some degree of mucus up there. It could be dried out at this point, so it's especially not showing up on x-ray. But if it's like that mucus type picture, whether it's wet or old and dry, the NAC is meant to help break that down and digest that. It also protects the lungs overall and like the entire respiratory tract. So it's great to be on this time of year because it's going to protect you. If for whatever reason it's something you're breathing in repetitively that's causing this sinus picture, it's also going to help with that because it's going to just make your whole respiratory tree more resilient to any kind of stressors or pathogens you're breathing in. The next thing I put is 5-HTP, which is an amino acid. It's the precursor to the brain chemical serotonin. So this too you would get in things like turkey, a little bit less in chicken and certain vegetables. So this one, I really don't mind what brand you get. Basically 200 milligrams twice a day for 2 months and then reassess. The reason I'm putting this is because it's amazing overall for mood because of the serotonin factor. It's great for PMS symptoms and especially cravings around periods, and it'll really help with your weight loss too. So it's good for mood support because it's that precursor to serotonin. It does also help with sleep, and it's good for energy. So we're hitting on multiple goals with this one. I don't think you'll be on that forever. Like I would say if anything 2, maybe 4 months to see how it goes, and then you can come off of it. Adrenal Pro by CanPrev is the next one, and this is 2 caps twice a day for 2 months, then either stop it or switch to a different adrenal formula. I say that because a lot of us need adrenal support almost year round or for like half of the year at least, just because our lifestyle in North America is very stressful. So it's good to be on some type of adrenal support supplement like this. But if you stay on it for more than 2 months, the same one, you sort of adapt to it too much. So it's good to change them every 2 months. So this one is an adrenal adaptogen formula. It'll help you get that energy boost because I know you're saying you're feeling kind of tired all the time right now. And it's also going to help you address stomach fat. So particularly that's cortisol mediated fat, and this is going to help with that, with blocking the cortisol from causing that. It also in turn helps your progesterone levels to normalize. So if your adrenals are tuckered out, they're starting to steal the ingredients needed to make progesterone, and they're diverting it to making cortisol. So that's the problem, really. We need to stop that pathway so we can get your progesterone back up, which will help your period and PMS symptoms. And if your body doesn't require cortisol, it also means you're in a more relaxed state. So that's a good thing. This particular supplement is a blend of vitamins, so it's like B6 and C. L-tyrosine, which is an amino acid for the thyroid gland, because if your adrenals are tuckered out, they're also going to start taking away from T3 and T4 thyroid hormones. So that's going to lower your metabolism and make it harder to lose weight. So if we can give you enough tyrosine, both glands can continue to function and the thyroid won't be so impacted by the adrenals trying to steal things from it. It's also got a great mix of female botanicals. So these are herbs like ashwagandha, schizandra, and rhodiola. So those are all good for mental energy and mental performance, as well as physical energy and physical performance. And then it's got the vitamin B6 that I mentioned, which is great for forming progesterone. With all this natural stuff, it's never like a drug, right? Like it'll never override your system. It just gives the ingredients so your body can make as much as it wants and then stop making it when it needs to. 2 more things. I did put a sinus homeopathic tincture by the company Unda, and that one is 30 drops 3 times a day in water until finished. And this is meant to address the sinus issues, whether it's from a dry blockage, inflammation, or like actual wet mucus and congestion. I put it for you here. I'm going to send this to you from Fullscript. It's this product right here, Unda 710. And I put the instructions. So that's more of like a homeopathic. It's slightly botanical too, like it's got herbs in it that are very diluted, but it's meant to really help decongest the sinuses with respect to like whatever's happening in there. And then this is our heavy hitter. Honestly speaking, if you only did one thing right now to start, I would suggest this one, because I feel like we need to clean up the sinus issue because you're not sleeping well as a result. And if you're not sleeping well, you're going to, first off, it skews your insulin and leptin, and it makes you more hungry and have like a stronger appetite and less able to tell when you're full. So the next day, studies show if you're even underslept by like a few, I would say within an hour, if you've been waking up a few times, you're going to eat on average 400 more calories a day just to feel full. So that's why sleep is such a big issue. It's also going to mess with your hormones too, right? So if we can get you sleeping well, get rid of the snoring, clear up the sinus thing, which shouldn't be there, which has been there for like a year and a half, just annoying you, it's going to make such a difference. So this is the thing that I would say, if you can only do one thing right now, I would make it this thing. Like, let's just clean this sinus thing up and get rid of it. The recommended dosage on this is 1 teaspoon 3 times a day until it's finished, which is about 2 weeks. I'm going to tell you about it. Again, it's going to help to address the sinus issues, whether it's from a dry blockage, inflammation, or congestion. If we make it, my herbalist makes it for you, and it's $45 US, and then they ship it right to your house. So it's drop shipped, it's custom made to order. You can let me know if that's good for you, but I'll tell you what's in it. It's these 5 herbs, so Baptisia, which is wild indigo, Hydrastis, which is golden seal. So this one is a really, really good immune herb. So is Hydrastis, or golden seal. This is known as the king of mucous membranes because it really supports mucous membranes, especially in the sinuses. So sinuses being like all these cavities in your head and face. It's also very strongly antimicrobial. So if there's any bugs lingering, it's going to kill bacteria, viruses, and yeast. Same thing with echinacea. And now both Hydrastis and echinacea also ramp up your own immunity. So it's going to keep you strong this time of year, which is kind of like a good side benefit. But echinacea is known to help decongest any issues in the sinuses. So is euphrasia, which is called eyebright in real life. And this too is known to help open things up. But the biggest one that really helps open things up is ephedra. You might have heard of this. A lot of people used to buy it over the counter for weight loss. And I think it got shut down for that reason. You can still buy it over the counter as a decongestant, but you can't buy it anymore for weight loss because people were taking crazy high doses and getting like really rapid heartbeats. So I put the ephedra while you're on the tincture, because of the ephedra that's in it, even though it's such a minuscule amount, you'll only be getting like 3 milliliters a day. It's going to potentially cause a little bit of an elevated heart rate, but for sure it's going to cause an elevation in your metabolism and a decrease in your appetite. So that's normal if you notice that. That's okay. But the biggest thing with ephedra is it's the most powerful herb for opening up congested sinuses and congested like anything, your nose, sinuses, lungs. It's really, really powerful. It's a Chinese herb called ma huang. And it's been used in Asia for like centuries. So with this one, the way that I'd be making the tincture is putting equal parts of each of them, so 50 milliliters of each, to make you a 250 milliliter tincture. So it's going to last you about 2 weeks or so if you take it 3 times a day. But honestly speaking, if you forget to take the lunchtime dose because you're not home or anything like that, that's totally fine. Just as long as you work through the bottle, it'll help to get rid of this picture. At least that's my hope. If that doesn't work, I'm going to seriously consider that it could be yeast related, but I really don't think it is, because I asked you those questions like, is your house old, and do you have like house plants and stuff like that? And to you, the onset was with a cold, which to me, none of that is suggest yeast related. Okay, one final thing for you, and I only have one lifestyle suggestion at this time, because you're doing the nutrition piece right now, you're doing the exercise piece. We might fine-tune the nutrition next month, but as for right now, I'm going to make a suggestion. I'm going to see how you're open to it or not. Fasting for 2 to 3 days. So are you open to fasting for 48 to 72 hours? I love fasting. It's so good for health. The reason that I say this is because it creates a major, what's called an autophagy response, gets turned on by fasting, which can eat up any gunk in your sinuses. Not only that, but it creates an immediate caloric deficit, which helps with weight loss, right? And I'm going to explain a bit more of that in a sec. You might not necessarily get through 72 hours in one go, although you certainly could. I have no qualms that you could do it because you're not on coffee. So it's hardest to fast if you're used to having coffee all the time. And it feels quite gross when you don't have coffee for 3 days and fast. So you're not on coffee, so I don't think it'll be hard. You also have at least 10 pounds of body fat, so for that reason too, it shouldn't be hard. So you certainly could do 72 hours. I have full faith in you that you could. But if it doesn't happen all in one go, it's still good to try doing like 2 24-hour fasts per week or a single 48-hour fast. So I should write here, the 72-hour one is an introduction to fasting to alleviate fears of fasting. Just to show you that fasting is actually not that hard. And 72 hours is enough to really get into the healing phase of it. In fact, it's that third day that the most healing occurs. Muscle wasting happens after 72 hours, which is why I don't recommend fasting beyond that in this situation. You know, if you were like, I want to get through cancer or something like that, that might be something to look at. But just with a sinus issue and weight goals and where you're at generally with your health, I would stop at 72 hours. So that's like an introduction, whereas fasting 48 hours total per week is great for weight loss and maintenance, so whether that's 1 times 48 or 2 times 24. Now, in that signature weight loss program that I do with all the ladies that I've worked with, on the online program, I think we're at 67 people so far. With all of them, the staple for maintaining their weight or for losing weight if they have excess is to do 2 times 24-hour fasts a week. We call them steak days or chicken days. Basically, you go from eating dinner, say I'm going to eat dinner tonight, and then I won't eat dinner again until tomorrow night. And it's good for it to be like chicken or steak or some type of good animal protein with vegetables. That's the best way to break a fast. That's only 24 or 48 hours. If it's like a really, really long fast, then you'll hear things like people break it with watermelon. But we're not fasting long enough to warrant that. So anyways, all I'm saying with that is with the weight loss program, this has been a well-documented strategy for always creating caloric deficits. So having 2 times a week that you're fasting. If that's too much, like long-term, you can just do 24 hours once a week. It's still great. So yeah, like I wrote here, for example, if you're going to do 48 hours straight, which you can do that too. So either do 24 and 24 on separate days, like say a Monday and a Thursday, or do 48 straight, whatever works better for you. But this is phenomenal for weight loss. So 48 would look like, have Sunday night dinner and then eat again Tuesday night dinner. So you're creating that deficit. Doing this once a week significantly helps with weight loss as well as eating up the sinus stuff. It might not get all of it in a single go, so it might be good to do this over a few weeks to keep creating that autophagy response. Not to mention, fasting is super, super powerful. It prolongs life, it decreases inflammation, and it helps hormone imbalances heal. It also decreases your risk of all major diseases. So if you do choose to do it, and I highly recommend it, and I'll be with you the whole time, you can message me at any point on Facebook Messenger. I would say to ensure that you drink the following electrolyte solution on those days. So just so you know, you can continue working out when you're fasting. although you may want to feel into what your body needs and take it easy on day 2 and or 3. But for sure, day 1, you can still work out. So, as you get used to this over time, you should be able, especially on 48 hours, to still work out, no problem. Okay? But if you want to ask me more questions about that, if you want to nail out the details, we can. If that's too challenging an idea, I just wrote blah, 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 do 24 hours. I'm just repeating myself here. But here's the recipe of the electrolytes. Per 1 liter of water, and you want to make sure it's good spring water, you're going to add 8 tablespoons of lemon juice. So you're still going to get about 40 calories from this. 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of potassium chloride, which I bought that on Amazon, but you can also just buy no salt by Windsor at the grocery store. And then 1 teaspoon sea salt. So that's the recipe per 1 liter. You can drink up to 2 liters of this on a fasting day, plus plain water if you need, but you really shouldn't need too much more than 2 liters of fluids a day. So it'll fall somewhere in there. So anyways, I digress, but just to sum up, fasting, it's always best to start with a 72-hour one, if you can, just to get your head in the game of what fasting feels like. And guess what? Once you've done 72 hours, you're probably never going to do that much again. So it's going to be easy. After that, for weight loss, great to make sure that there are 2 fasting days per week. So whether that's 48 hours back to back or 2 times 24 hours in your week. That's great for weight loss and for your sinuses and for prolonging your health. If that's too challenging, even just 1 day a week. Now, the other thing is, I just want you to know that you can still work while you're fasting. I'm on day 2 of fasting right now, and I'm still working, and I'm still energized and energetic. So it's great stuff. Using the electrolyte solution is what prevents the symptoms of fasting that most people experience. So headaches, fatigue, no energy, that's very highly linked to not having potassium. At the same time, fasting is like a flashlight that we're shining into your dark basement of your health. If you've got cobwebs up there, you haven't seen them yet, right? So fasting is going to shine the flashlight on any problems that might be under the hood. So that stuff will come up. So for instance, people who are metabolically deranged and can't switch from burning sugar to burning fat for fuel very easily, they feel kind of gross the first few days of fasting because their body's not able to metabolically switch easily back and forth to burning, carbs, to burning their own body fat. So stuff like that can come up. But it's good to find this out now and work through it now while you're young and actually get your health on a really good trajectory so that you don't have to deal with problems when you're older. So can't speak highly enough for fasting. It's amazing. It's one of the top secrets that I use with my weight loss ladies. And I'm telling you, it works so well. So that's the plan for right now. I wrote down a couple of notes about future plans. So after we work through this and make sure that your symptoms are on the up and up, meaning the sinus stuff is going away and you're just feeling more energized, we're going to look at doing a female hormone tincture. Ideally a tincture. I just find tinctures work a bit better than tablets or capsules when it comes to hormones. So something that would rebalance estrogen, progesterone. I'm going to include the herb chaste because that's going to work so well for you there. So we might, take you off the tablet form and just include it in your tincture. Also, I would love to look at doing a liver cleanse. That might be perfect in January after the holidays when you're wanting to clean out any gunk in your system that might have accumulated. But if you're fasting, it'll be significantly less because you're constantly cleansing. So a liver cleanse would help with the PMS, with the better recycling and breakdown of hormones. I recommend everyone do liver support at least twice a year. So usually sometime around spring or just before, and then fall or just before, just to help the liver get what it needs to do its job. It's kind of like the filter in your house, like how you want to change the filter in your furnace a few times a year. So, and then lastly, we will discuss and maybe look into melatonin to ensure that you're getting high quality sleep post snoring. So I want to see your snoring clear up ASAP and then make sure your sleep is really high quality so that you're feeling more energized, more refreshed, and that the weight is coming off easily. So your weight goal, 10 pounds, I would expect to see, especially with fasting, that come off in 1 to 2 months max. So that's my goal with you for that. So we should be looking in the new year that you're feeling good and you're at 130 again. Okay, so that's it. If you have any questions, please post them to me and I'll get back to you. And just remember, I'm here with you the whole month. So any questions you have as you proceed through your plan, let me know. If you're game to do this tincture too, let me know and I'll send you a PayPal invoice and then I'll get my herbalist to compound it for you and mail it to you. So, and I'll have to get your new address too. I don't think I have it. So anyways, let me know if you're game for that. Let me know if you have any questions, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm so excited to see you move your health into a new space, and I'm really excited to see you get rid of this sinus thing and get so much more energy and just put this hormone thing back on track.